Quite a while back, I had a great opportunity, which was to have a conversation with Catharina from Delden. And at that time, she was just starting out with a very interesting company, even then, to do with supporting the innovation process. I'm now in a very impressive headquarters in Munich, wonderful old house, but with a buzz of innovation in the air, and also with a client list that looks seriously impressive. What I'd really like to know is a little bit more about the company and what it's grown into, and then ask you perhaps a little bit about how it works. But maybe we could start, Catharina, and thank you so much for your time. If you could tell us a little bit about how you offer, what you offer today in terms of support for innovation.
I'd love to. And actually, meeting you again makes me realize how big of a change we've gone through and to come to where we are today. So it's amazing to talk to you again to catch up. Um, in a nutshell, the problem we want to solve today is that big corporations struggle with the necessary speed in innovation, but in reality, in everything they do in times of digital transformation. They're faced with new types of competitors who are born in a digital age and who approach the idea of innovation product development with a completely new mindset. And while I'm a bit sad that it's such a buzzword, but it is. They come with an agile mindset, which they have developed in terms of software development, but now they're applying it to basically everything they do. And well, you just mentioned it, our clients are very large corporations who traditionally have approached the innovation process as something very secretive and something
Yes.
that, quality was more important than speed. Now we're concentrating on making it perfect. Now they realize they can only survive if they pick up the speed. And they realize the only way to do it is to change the way, not only how they approach innovation management, but how they work in general. And coming back to Innosabi, we offer a software tool that helps large corporations to bring necessary speed into the innovation process by bringing agile principles to the innovation process. That specifically means working together with your ecosystem in your innovation challenges. It could be suppliers, could be customers, could be people from your organization who were not involved before, who you invite to collaborate in an open, transparent way on identifying customer needs, on building prototypes, on finding technologies, on evaluating ideas, on funding. And when it comes to, our platforms are 3 platforms for individual parts of that ecosystem and for individual use cases. But what makes us unique is that they all interconnect and they all interlocked, so you can actually innovate with basically one innovation program in your ecosystem.
And I find that fascinating, this idea of an integrated set of ideas coming from all sorts of sources. This word ecosystem, I think, is really important. But then I have to ask the obvious question, having had that great conversation with you some time back. You've been on a journey and you've arrived at a very interesting place. Can you tell me a little bit about how that journey happened, what you learned along the way?
Yes. Well, actually, by the time we talked, we were using a little bit of technology in our platform Unsala, but our business model was a service model. And our way of creating value was by doing the work manually ourselves. The major factor that has changed is that we have put our knowledge and these processes into technology, and now we're a full-fledged software technology company. And our customers still work with consultants and agencies, and these we are partnering with them today. So that is still part of the whole project, but our role has changed, and we have really concentrated on what we love the most. I'd say all the founders are little nerds and techies. But this journey has allowed us to grow in a bootstrapping approach. We still don't have any major investors. We've grown to around 50 people today by our own means and just constantly changing and adapting what we do according to what we learn. So basically, with every conversation we had and still have with our customers or potential customers, we are learning how our product has to develop, how we can change, and then we combine that with our own ideas and own thinking. And I think Well, looking back, we just recently thought about it. We at least have 40, 45 iterations of our product and business model to where we are today. And it's certainly not the end. Like if I look what's coming, this is still a process. But if I have to summarize it, say we have grown from a service business model into a tech business model, and really coming from one use case, and that customer co-creation thinking, to an ecosystem thinking, and specifically focusing on the benefit and the value proposition of speed.
That's fascinating, and I particularly like the fact that it's not one business model that's fixed. It's constantly changing and upgrading. It does, of course, raise the obvious question. You're offering agile innovation to all your clients. How do you manage agility in your own organization?
Well, the very nice waterfall. No, I'm joking. Well, actually, when I have to describe our own way of working, I wouldn't even say like we planned to work together in an agile manner, or it wouldn't even be hard for me to actually describe our way of working with these kind of formal words, because it's just the way we've grown up. I'd say it's kind of, we were forced into an agile way of working by our bootstrapping approach, because by the fact that we just didn't have any money when we found it, we constantly had to adapt to our environment. So we had to do what the customers wanted, because that was the only way of getting money. And also, and I think that's one of the major facts. All four of us founders were very young when we founded the companies. We didn't have any experience. And so none of us actually said, okay, I know how it's done. But we all had this constant question of how can we actually achieve our goals? What can we do? And this has led to a mindset that I think is really important throughout the company, of constant learning and constantly assuming that we actually don't really know how it's done, and we have to ask other people to get involved and to inform ourselves and to constantly develop. And well, coming from that, if you talk about agile, for us it's really just I'd say a constant stream of learning, of conversation. Constant. I like the word stream because it really describes of how we work together. You know, it's some of our people, it really drives them crazy. Like, how can we not have a fixed plan of how it will be tomorrow? Like, how shall I sell a product, you know, that maybe will be a completely different product tomorrow again, and maybe I don't even know exactly how it is today. But looking back, yes, that sometimes can be uncomfortable, but at the same time, it allows us to be so flexible and to react and to aim at constantly improving ourselves and our product.
It does, of course, raise the question. You talked of yourselves when you were founding. You now have 50 people. And basically, the question that raises is, how do you build a culture? How is it that the way we do things around here, it doesn't happen by accident, and certainly not by do it this way. How do you create the culture?
Well, actually, I'm hesitating a bit, because I think we have, when we talk about culture, it's not only about culture at Innosabi and how we work together, but what we do is actually has a strong influence on the culture of how our clients work as well. So there are actually maybe two parts to my answer.
Okay, please.
The first one regarding Innosabi, it ties back to my answer about agile. Like, it really comes from the mindset that comes from us as four founders. You know, none of us four want to say, you know, I'm the best in what I do and this is how we do it. But we all, coming from our founding history, we all have this constant mindset of, well, let's talk about how we can achieve our goals. And this is a conversation we have with all of our employees, with all the team. And we strive to have formal and informal ways so that everybody can really focus on their strength and bring their strength to the company, and with that strength to create, reframe, rebuild the company. Well, that sounds also happy, emotional, I don't know, but doesn't mean that we don't follow very ambitious financial goals as well. No? So that doesn't, some people always ask me, well, you have such a happy culture, how does that go along with very ambitious goals? And I'd say it's the only way of achieving them. You know, if our team feels empowered, if they are brave enough to say, well, I think, you know, I have a good idea, like, what do you think about it? Or don't even have to say I have a good idea, but it's like natural to talk about good ideas. So it's really finding measures to formalize this. So, for example, we work with a strength finder, which is a process in the tool. We try to have town hall style meetings every week. We have our own platforms, which we work with our own tools for, with our customers and internally as well. But at the same time, I think the most important part of this process is really the informal part, is that, and that comes a lot from how we four founders also work together, and how we have interactions and conversations. Well, the second part of the questions of how do our tools influence the culture at our customers, very often the first request they have towards us is a very hard business KPI question, like how can I get more revenue, be more profitable, have an ROI on my innovation projects. But in the process of working with us, they see what is really happening is the way how they solve problems as an organization, how they approach projects and working together. Because what it really, like, if you innovate in collaboration, it only works if you see a human being, really every human being, as equally valuable, and to say everybody can have an idea, no matter if that person maybe is outside my organization and not involved, maybe if that person has a lower paying job as mine, every person can have a good idea. And only if that really is your mindset, you can really address people in your ecosystem, you can work with them, and that automatically changes the culture of how people address problem solving, of how they make decisions. And well, maybe that's kind of an outlook. I think what we learn today in innovation management is just the way how you work together successfully in general in business, how you create value, how the types of relationship is that you have with your customers. So I see innovation as a nucleus that defines a new way of work culture.
That's fascinating, and I'm really delighted to hear you say that innovation is about people, because
Yes.
we might have the most wonderful software, the most wonderful technology, but underneath it, it's still human creativity. But we first met when I was trying to teach something at the university in Munich. I've learned a great deal from you today.
Thank you so much.
Can I just ask you one last question, which is partly for the benefit of some of our current students, in terms of a career as an innovation manager, as an entrepreneur, perhaps as a founder? If I asked Auntie Catharina for some lessons, what advice might you give?
Auntie Catharina, I feel a bit old now, but
Sorry, I didn't.
no, it's but truth is we've gone through quite a journey, and it has come with immense personal learnings. I'd say, like, there's no type of class that could have that could have taught me what I've learned by just creating my own business. And I'd say, well, there are many learnings, but the number one question that I get from people who want to found their own businesses, well, I just don't have an idea, what should I do? And I want to take away that question, that fear, because I think it really is not about the idea. It's about your willingness to invest yourself and your time and your effort and your love and passion into building something. And well, yes, it's good to start with an idea, which is something that you're passionate about. But every successful founder that I met, that they were successful, they didn't do what they started off with. So what made them successful is this constant listening, learning, iteration, just putting in the sweat and the hours and the hard work to make it work. And that's my experience as well. I think we were able to come to where we are today by basically constant learning and just isn't there a saying, innovation is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So if I have to summarize that, and if you carefully listen, the idea will shape itself. It will become clear in your head just because you talk about it so much. And what that automatically does, if you approach a founding project with that mindset, is, and if you basically make it around your passion and your interest and your dedication and hard work, what happens is that you basically infect the people around you, and they want to support you just because they see your passion, they see you want to build something. And once that happens, and I'm tremendously thankful that it did happen for Innosabi, that we are basically just a tiny little part of a huge network of people and organizations supporting us and being Innosabi fans and saying, well, we help you just because we love what you do. And some most prominent examples, for example, could be our advisory board, who just say, well, we just want to be part of your journey. We don't want to have any shares. We don't want to have huge compensations. We just want to be part of your journey. And to have this type of support system is so important in times when it's maybe not so easy. So yeah, in a nutshell, do something that's your passion, even if you don't have the big idea, iterate it, and by doing so, build a huge network of supporters and fans.
That's lovely. Listen and learn. I think that's what I'm going to take away. But thank you so much for your time. That was really interesting.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.